Welcome everybody, man, to a Friday. Oh man, hold up, my hat's on goofy. Friday episode of Lions Daily, and today, man, this thing feels a little high. Let me raise myself up a little bit. Look kind of crazy. There we go. Now we look more normal. Today, man, rookie OTAs are kicking off. So we had a ton of press conferences today, man. A ton of I guess they weren't really introductory press conferences, but we got to hear from all the draft picks a little bit short little thing from all the draft picks. And then also we got to hear from Ray Agnew this morning, which was pretty exciting. I was excited to see that. I got the alert. Ray Agnew was going live, pretty fired up, man. He's always had some really good pressers. Today was a little bit more chill. Sounds like he just had a new kid though, so congratulations there. That's awesome. But we did get some little nuggets, I think, a little bit from Ray Agnew. So I just took some notes there, and I was like, all right, we could chat about these a little bit today. Also, rookie numbers. We kind of have an idea for rookie numbers for the Lions. Now, some of these may change. They probably will change. But we got rookie number ideas here. And then also, we kind of have I don't know if this is like the finalized look, but it's kind of like the look of okay, here's UDFAs versus players coming in for a tryout. And one of those players, Keith Cooper Jr. out of Houston, I believe. I have the list. I'll pull it up though. He's actually a tryout, not a UDFA signing, and that was bound to happen. And at least one of those were going to be off. But the good thing is we've already looked into Keith Cooper Jr., so we have a pretty good sense of a tryout piece there. But I couldn't get through all of the tryout pieces yet. All right, I've watched about half of them. I haven't got through all of them yet to do okay, here's everybody trying out for the Lions. And I don't know if I do that by Monday, if it's actually going to make any sense to even do a show on it. But if it does Monday, we're going to go through all these tryout players, okay? So stay tuned for that. If it still makes sense, we'll do it. If it doesn't make sense, then we'll do something else, okay? But that being said, we do have the list there. I want to start here before we go to any of the Ragnu comments, just to update the rookie numbers, because I had somebody ask me about the rookie numbers a few weeks ago. They asked if they were out, and I was like, I don't think so. Well, we have them now. So if you're watching this, this is for you. We got the numbers. For the most part, some of these players do have the same numbers as carrying over from college. Isaac Tesla's rocking the number 18. I kind of like the number 18. Like, he feels like a single number kind of guy, if I'm being honest. Like put a single number on that big dude. All right, let him block some people. I feel like he looks like a number 5 or something like weird like that. You just put a single number on it. Maybe it's because he wore the 4 in college. Now it's hitting me. Probably that's why. That's probably why. But he's wearing 18. Love it with the 19. I rock with the 19. You know what? Maybe those two should switch, actually. Maybe those two should switch, because I said I think Tesla could have a rookie year, kind of like a Kenny Galladay, where it's like once he plays, he pops. Maybe those two should switch just to make that make sense. I don't know. Maybe it's, one of y'all called him one of y'all had like a weird nickname for him, like Kelvin Johnson. So maybe he's wearing the 18 because he's just going to flip it around. Be like, there you go. That's me. We also got the UDFAs getting some numbers in here. Kai Robichaux with 25, Ian Kennelly with the 27. Let's go to some of the key ones, though. Zach Corrin still rocking the 40. I rock with the number 40 for Zach Corrin. That just feels like the perfect number for that player. Ahmed 61 is strange. That one feels strange, okay? But I'm with it. It feels strange, but that's a unique player, so I'm with it. Miles Frazier with the 71. Might as well continue with the number 71. That one just works. They also have Mason Miller listed as a guard wearing 63, which is interesting because he was a tackle for North Dakota State. So I think that's an interesting one there. I'm curious to see how they kind of mess around with what position they actually want to play him at. We also have a tryout player that we're going to talk about a little bit today from Nebraska. I was watching him recently. Bryce Benhart out of Nebraska. Now, this guy is 6'9", which the Lions are comfortable with having dudes that are absolutely massive playing offensive linemen. And that doesn't mean that he has to play tackle either. That could mean guard. And honestly, watching him, there's certain things where I'm like, they might try to move him inside. I can understand that they looked at his range and they're like, I don't know about the recovery on the outside. They're like, let's see what it looks like at guard. This dude's massive, but he can bend a little bit at the knees. He can push people around a little bit. They might try him out at guard. We might have a 6'9" guard on our hands. That's very possible. So just something to keep an eye on. But that name caught my eye because I'm pretty sure before the draft, our Packers guy was joking around with me about Bryce Benhart because he's 6'9" and he's got 32-inch arms. It's like, well, what are we doing here? This doesn't math. This doesn't make any sense. But he's trying out for the Lions, and I'm actually excited about this one. I kind of like watching him play a little bit. So we'll get to that one in a second here. Other numbers to hit on: Tyleik Williams was 78. He wasn't feeling that, so I don't think that one's going to last forever here. I'm sure he's going to make the team. Don't know if I would buy the 78, unless you're going to be like, hey, that was his first number. I got that number. Don't know if I would buy that. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So if you're looking to Tyleik Williams jersey, maybe hold off a little bit. That would be a fire interview. Yes, that would be fire. I might have to reach out. We might have to make something like that happen. We got to get something like that done. We got to figure that out. But we got some plans in the background going on for content purposes. So I think opportunities are just they're opening up, and they're going to be opening up as we continue through here. Outside of that, though, Caden Pierscorn is still rocking the 86. I rock with that number. Jackson Meeks with the 82. So Keeney James with the number 80. I like the number 80 for him. Like, with the skill set, that feels like the skill set that fits. So rookie numbers are in. Bam, we got those. I want to touch on some of the notes that we got this morning. Was it this morning? I don't even know if it was this morning. Earlier today, we got notes from Ray Agnew, and he kind of just touched on each player the Lions drafted. Like, he gave like a little statement on each player the Lions drafted. It wasn't anything super crazy, but I thought there was little nuggets sprinkled in there. I was like, okay, this is maybe what we can expect, what they're thinking, right? I think he was vulnerable to be like, hey, here's kind of what we think of the player. And we were like, all right, good. We got some insight on this. So the first thing was, he's talking about Tyleik Williams. If you don't know, Ray Agnew works in the front office with Brad Holmes there. And he came over from LA, with Brad Holmes. So, he talked about the aggression. He's like, we kind of learned that in LA that he wants to be aggressive. And I don't know where that came from really, because it wasn't like he was the general manager in LA. So maybe that's like the story of like him saying that, apparently Brad Holmes was like all on board for trading up, being aggressive for Goff at the time. Maybe that's where, some of the, I'm sure there was like, those internal discussions, and he's like, he was aware at that time that this is how Brad Holmes is going to operate. I guess we should have known. We should have known. Let's just leave it at that. That said, though, so he spoke on Tyleik Williams, and he really just kind of said it as a general piece. Like, if you're not good in the middle, then you're not very good, like, essentially. So on the defensive line, the value they put on the interior. When I heard that, immediately took me back. It took me back to the first draft and the Aleem and the Levi, and we're like, wait a minute, we took another defensive tackle. It ended up working out, but I think in a lot of ways this draft, and I had a chance to be this, and definitely did. Just it had a chance. I think it was. This draft was very similar, I think, in a lot of ways to the first draft, kind of the foundation building draft of the team. This draft felt like it kind of went back to the roots, and was like, yeah, all right, we're going to do that again. We're going to get back to the roots, and we're going to do that again. Now that said, yeah, I don't know what Tate was looking like at center, but you kind of jumped ahead, and we're going to get there. Tate taking snaps at center, and how he kind of liked the control of like, hey, I kind of run the whole thing offensively. I'm telling y'all, so we dropped it. I was sneak peeking it on Wednesday that it was going to happen. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Tate Ratledge. I think he's going to be the future center for us. I just think his skill set matches, and I think just think the more you watch him, the skill sets like that kind of screams center. It screams that this is going to work for him, and that he's going to be pretty comfortable in that spot. So we'll get to that. But Tyleik Williams, this whole draft kind of felt like getting back to step one. Let's go to the trenches. Let's get that thing right. They know they have some injuries there, but also I think it also kind of worked out for contract purposes too. It's like, all right, who do we have to pay? Who are we starting to pay now? Where do we have to prioritize? Like, let's just get back to who we were and what made us kind of the team that brought us back. And I think in a lot of ways for me, the whole emphasis I had on run defense was based in that. Like, let's get back to what made us the problem. And it was like, oh, we're so good up front. And I think in a lot of ways they did that. So if you're not good in the middle, you're not very good. That's what he said about kind of the Tyleik Williams draft pick. But really, he expanded on that with Tyleik Williams, saying that he felt that his pass rush ability was underrated. Now, I don't know, who's like who he's hearing, in terms of like who thinks about. I don't know. Maybe that's just all the C- grades. Maybe he's seeing that everybody's giving us a C- for this draft, and he's like, oh, okay, you guys are missing out. Tyleik Williams can actually get after the quarterback a little bit. Maybe that's what it is. I think amongst Lions fans, there's a lot of hype about what he can be as a rusher. So this one feels a little bit weird, because I definitely know from the outside looking in, Tyleik Williams for a lot of people is like, yep, that was a reach. They took him too high. Wasn't a first round pick, that kind of thing. I know for me, and we haven't done the full thing yet though, I thought he was a slightly above average pass rusher. So like based on his comments of it, saying that he felt that he's an underrated pass rusher. He was powerful in the hips, and that's what stood out to him. He could unlock his hips. He was powerful. He felt a jolt when he would connect with offensive linemen, the way that he would strike guys. You could feel that. That was the first thing that popped to him, but he felt that he was an underrated rusher. And he continued to bring up our new defensive line coach, Casey Rogers, which fires me up, man, because it seems like he has a lot of love for Casey Rogers. We got some dudes in this front office that play defensive line, so that seems to be kind of their thing. I think Casey Rogers is going to do a really good job here, man. I'm excited for Casey Rogers too. I think he maybe has the most buzz of any defensive coach we hired, because that was like the main, that was one of the biggest changes that we had. You have a new defensive coordinator stepping in there, but like we've had some big names on the defensive line, Todd Walsh, and then we lost our guy last year, and he's dealing with some stuff. So hopefully he's okay there. But I think he was kind of the biggest like buzz name. And then on top of that, we're going to get to this, but our defensive backs coach remains the same. And I know this is like a complete side note, but it's hitting me right now. in terms of these like tryout players, I plan to get to them Monday. We'll see if it still makes sense, but I plan to get to them Monday. The players that we try, Duke Shelley is one of the players coming in for a tryout, one of the veterans. We got like 5 or 6 veterans. There's a couple that caught my eye. Travis Gibson immediately caught my eye. I got fired up when I saw that name. He hasn't really done much in a few years, but Travis Gibson, man, when he was with Chicago, I was a fan. I was a fan of him out of Tulsa. I was a fan of him when he was with Chicago. So it feels like kind of not full circle, but it feels like it was meant to be that eventually this guy was going to have a shot to just see what he was capable of. And I think with all the buzz around, should they sign this guy and this guy? It's like, man, I want to see what dudes like that have. I want to see what a Travis Gibson's got, man, because that's the kind of player I would love to see in person, what that looks like. And yeah, we don't really know a lot. At least I haven't seen really anything on like, hey, what do they look like in practice? One, it's just the beginning. So even the players told us like, yeah, there's not really much going on yet. Language, that kind of thing. We're getting right with that. But even Tesla was like, yeah, the offense was pretty basic today. The walkthroughs were fast. I know a player told us that, but outside of that, they're still so early into this, kind of just connecting, figuring everything out. But yeah, that's some. We'll follow up with that. But a lot of these like veterans that they brought in, the Duke Shelley one, I think has a legitimate shot to make this team. I believe he has the connection going back with our defensive backs coach, who also had the connection with Vildor, who was let go, but back when he was with Chicago, because he was brought in by Chicago. So I think something like that feels really interesting when you think about these guys. Leaf's interesting. He's got a very weird body type. I mean, look, the whole backup center position for us in general, I think is a real opportunity for somebody. For Leaf, can he crack the code of playing guard too? Maybe. I don't know. It's possible, right? That would probably be the thing that'll help him out the most if he can find a way to do that. But honestly, if anybody can prove that they're like a reliable backup center, you'd have a shot, because last year we had like 3 guys rotating and trying to figure out like who can be a backup center here. Ultimately, we went with the guy that has some guard flexibility. He wasn't great at center, though. Like, he had some guard flexibility. You felt a little bit more comfortable with him based on experience. But that still feels like, hey, we got some young dudes. I think that we're eventually going to see Ratledge take over center for this team. That's my early guess. But in the immediate, in the right now, if anybody is really comfortable at that spot, they're going to have a shot. Like, that's how UDFA is going to be able to make it happen, is if you can make it happen at center right away. And you play at a high level, like 3 games, though. Like last year we had the Duke Clemens. We had guys that would give us a game and then it was kind of like, oh, that's not great. If you can give us 3 consistently good games, I think you got a shot. I think it's at worst practice squad, right? But you might need that guy eventually. Okay, so that's what he said about Tyleik. And then, like we said about, and that was, by the way, that was Tyleik that was talking about, I think, the pace of practice. Tate Ratledge. He spoke on Tate Ratledge, right? Playing center, getting snaps at guard. That's where the cross training is coming in. Miles Frazier, tackle and guard. So a little bit different there. But I think that just kind of cemented the possibility that he actually might be the future center for us. Like, it kind of made me feel good to see that, because I felt like it built off that video and that idea, right? It kind of did. So we'll see what it turns into, but I think it's very possible. That's kind of the main point there. Okay, let's go to Isaac Tesla, though, because he spoke on Isaac Tesla, saying that this guy was like built to be a Lion, like he was made to be a Lion. He actually seemed to really enjoy the fact that this dude rolled up with some Lions merch on. So shout out to Isaac Tesla, it worked out. But no, he was a Lions fan, man. It's a really cool story. And the things that he brought up were pretty much the exact same things that Brad Holmes talked about the guy. Like, he's gonna block. It's like, okay, he does. It's like, I'm honestly, I don't know that I've watched a guy that blocks like he does. Like, there's guys that you see reps that you like and certain things like, but this, I don't know that I've seen a receiver coming out of the draft that blocks like that consistently. That's dominant as a blocker as well. He just, that aggression. Like, there was times where I was like, I wonder if he's going to have the same aggression this game, or is it kind of a like, oh, he's feeling it, he got in the rhythm, he's going to block. Like, no, it was all the time. Nonstop. The dude was a crazy blocker. It wasn't just Senior Bowl, which they brought up specifically. It was literally the entire season that he played. So it was like, that was where you kind of got the vibe. Like, I don't know how you keep this guy off the field. Like, at some point, this guy's got to have to get some snaps, because there's nobody keeping him off the field. Eventually, he did get, kind of a larger role as the season rolled along. But he brought up the blocking first and foremost. But then what I loved is he brought up the hands. Look, man, Wednesday, we were sitting there and we were like, yo, I get it. Everybody's talking speed and size. Like, that was the whole conversation. Every grade was, he's big and fast. But it's like, dude, nobody's bringing up the guy's hands are fantastic. He doesn't drop passes. It's weird. I think that's a body type thing. Right? Think of Ibuka, and I think of big and fast, so nobody talks about that. Everybody talks about the hands. People need to talk about Tesla's hands, and that's what he brought up specifically. The second thing he brought up was like, yo, he catches everything with his hands. It's a great hands catcher, and that's absolutely true. I think that's the part that I'm going to buy into the most here. He also said that he had good run after catch ability. Now, I was lower on that aspect for him. That said, though, he also followed that up immediately with the toughness. And kind of the note to that, the nugget, and he also brought that up, right? The wing T background, playing quarterback. He was essentially a running back because he's playing a wing T offense. They're not throwing the football, they're running the ball every play. So he does have a background of being a runner, and having the toughness meant that. And this would pop too. Like, he would run over some guys, he'd finish, right? He'd get downhill. I just didn't think he was crafty really at all once the ball got in his hands. But he thought that he was good after the catch. So maybe there's more there that I just didn't see. Right? Maybe that's very possible. And then you could also just be buying the fact that, like, all right, he's fast and he's tough. He's going to add something after the catch. That's very fair, right? That could be something that you buy into here. So they feel pretty good about that seemingly. But I think the overall idea that they had for him, and Ray Agnew kind of like led us into their world of like, all right, improving route running. He specifically talked about playing, as a wide receiver, which again, he did more towards the end of the season with Arkansas, but needing to improve off the press. That's what Brad Holmes also brought up, right? And look, he's still pretty raw. Like, we talk about these guys that are kind of raw to position. He's kind of raw because in high school that wasn't. I mean, dude, playing a wing D offense, they're not throwing the ball. So it's been a college career, and that's it at receiver essentially. So understandable, but I think them kind of like letting us into like let's be patient here. Let's be patient, but they're excited about it. And special teams, like, he can immediately make the impact. That's really how I feel about it too. I think that their thoughts on Tesla is kind of my expectation for it as well. Like, it may not pop immediately. You have time. He even brought up the veterans. Like, you got dudes in there. You don't need him to pop right away. Give him time. But when he does pop, or when he does get the opportunity, he's going to shine. I think it's just bound to happen because he's too talented not to. I mean, it's just going to happen. Dudes that catch the ball like that big and that fast, something's going to happen. It's going to be exciting early on. And I think that's what Galladay had early too. Dude was big, fast, and he'd catch everything. So it was just like, put it up there. He's going to do something great. And that's what I think is going to happen here with Tesla. Even though it's different though, different offense. He also, you know what I did like about Isaac Tesla too, because he spoke to me. He said, like, what can be expected. He's, I'm going to go make plays, which there you go. Be a playmaker at heart. That's something that, teams look for, is how are you a playmaker? And I remember it was kind of weird for me trying to figure out Isaac Tesla, like how much of a playmaker that I feel like he was, because I didn't love him after the catch. It's like, how much of a playmaker do I feel like he is? But I ended up giving him a good spot there. And I think a big part of that was so much of the feel, right? It was a feel of, okay, broken play, let me get myself open. There's a big feel to being a playmaker, feel on the sideline. There's a good feel to his game. And Tesla brought that up, but he also brought up being a smart receiver. Like, that was going to be noticeable early. You have to be smart to make it work in this offense for sure. So I don't know. That part kind of excites me. Like, okay, how can he get going pretty quickly for this offense? That aspect of it, buying into the football intelligence and the guy's going to pick up things fast, which Ray Agnew also brought up, is like, yeah, he's going to pick up things fast. He's a smart player. So, it seems like they're kind of like, let's be patient, but we're pretty optimistic that it's going to happen. And it makes sense because they traded up 32 picks to go get him. So I'm sure that they are. Miles Frazier. Wasn't a lot that he said about Miles Frazier outside of being relentless and another upside player. Yeah, that sounds about right with Miles Frazier. Now, I did like when Miles Frazier spoke on it, like talking about how, working a lot of different sets. Everybody kind of just was all over like what offensive line coach Hank Fraley brings to the table, like how smart he is and how fast it was. Like, yeah, we just got here and this dude's just showing us all these new things. But I thought the interesting point that he made is like the different pass sets that he's now kind of like working, or it seemed like at LSU is pretty, like, all right, we're kind of doing the same things over and over here. And he's like, well, here, it's not just a vertical set, that I'm taking, right? There's different pass sets, especially as a guard. Like, I'm taking the vertical and then the angle set. It's like, hey, now we're jump setting guys, we're flash setting guys. And he brought up the different sets that are immediately being introduced, and his focus was clearly on like the technical aspect of things. That way he could play within like all these different things that you do stylistically. It makes a ton of sense. And Lions have a lot of creativity in how they do things offensively. There's a lot of different ways they set things up. Even if you just go as bare bones to like even play action, you're not just standing in your same spot. There's a slide attached. There's a puller attached to it, right? A lot of positioning. And then as a run blocking aspect, Lions do a lot of creative things to make things springboard to the next level. And that's one thing that he didn't say about Miles Frazier. But when you tie what Miles Frazier said about kind of getting like these different sets that he wasn't really doing in college, and then you think about Ratledge and what Ray Agnew said about Ratledge, and the main point that he made there is like, his ability to get out in space, ability to go block, create these explosive plays. He brought up Jahmyr Gibbs specifically, like these guys that can go out there and springboard these big plays. And you think about the creative ways the Lions would set that up this past season with having some of the athletes that they had. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think those two things kind of tied together. And I think that's the thing with Tate Ratledge that didn't feel like it was tapped into as much as it potentially was capable of, like when I went through it. Because, his second level grade for me wasn't crazy, but he had so much control. Like Ratledge is a ridiculous athlete testing wise. I mean, it's insane across the board for a guy at his size. And he's got really good like foot quickness, He's got some control. He breaks down in space, right? He's not out of control when he's working in space. And when he latches dudes, like he's taking them for a ride. He doesn't hold in space. So I think I may have been too low there ultimately, but to buy into that element is pretty exciting, right? Not just the flexibility of where you can play, but when you're kicking, because what the Lions have leaned on that with Penei Sewell so much, it was such a big element for Graham Glasgow at the time. You know, Mahogany was had the juice to kind of get upfield, but he was a pretty smooth puller. But those guys that are really comfortable, like springboarding plays up to the next level, Lions have a lot of those dudes across the board. But I think that Zeitler was really good at it in his own right, right? Zeitler wasn't a crazy athlete, but he was very good in his own right because he took really good angles. And I remember as the season went on, you just felt that with Zeitler. It was like, man, he's making things happen because he's so smooth picking up guys the next level. And I see a little bit of flashes of that with Ratledge where you could get excited about that too. And Ratledge is a better athlete out there. Like Ratledge is going to be able to, I think you can ask more of him. His angles are smart. I just didn't feel like his athleticism popped as much, but you know that it's in his body. But I think that you see it on screens. It's like those little things, like the Lions buying into that, like explosive playmaking through their offensive line. And you think about it, like everything kind of ties together too, because you have it with Ratledge and you're also getting this with Isaac Tesla. Like there's definitely a focus on how they're tying those two things together for me. But yeah, I liked a lot of elements about Ratledge getting up to the next level, movement skills wise. Staying square was the big problem for me, but those are things that we can definitely dial in here. And then if you're playing different positions, explain it to it as well. He was a smart player up there. He also, let me see if did I just lose my notes here? What am I doing? Oh yeah, he spoke on the last two picks as well, and love it. He specifically just talked about his ability after the catch, like what he could do with the ball in his hands. That was kind of the key for him. Lovett had like one of the more energizing, I would say, pressers today. He had some good energy out there. You can tell, like the guys that are Lions guys when they draft them, it's like, all right, I can understand why they fell in love with this dude. And he specifically just talked about like what he would do with the ball in his hands, and then even love it afterwards. Like, yeah, I don't know, special teams, like dude's got to try to catch me. Sounds like they had a ridiculous punt coverage unit, which I didn't know that. 27 yards allowed is insane. Sounds like Smith was a big part of it as well. He gave him a shout out. The other Georgia receiver that really dropped a lot of passes this past year. This made some big things happen with the ball in his hands. Just dropped a lot of passes. But special teams, they value that like crazy. He seems pretty eager to kind of get involved with that because he said he kind of just started with Georgia specifically. But the ability to do things with the ball in his hands, the natural creativity with the ball in his hands, and then Dan Jackson to kind of wrap things up. The interesting nugget that he gave there was, to me, very clearly the zone versus man. He's like, he's a better zone coverage piece than man. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, that's a little bit different than what you would think of with the Lions safety because they do ask him to play man. It's not that you can't work around it because you can, but it makes me think of like the development and how much of an emphasis that has been. And the fact that he brought that up immediately makes me think that there's a clear awareness of like, okay, we want to get this area better. Now that could also be as like, hey, some of the skill set here just may not be great for man coverage. There could just be some of that too. And the instinctual feel, the ability to kind of float around his zone, the timing and zone coverage when he's kind of working through these zone drops, like some of that's just a feel that you don't get as man. As man, you're just matched up with somebody, you're trying to cover him up one-on-one, right? It's a whole different game. But that said, it also makes me think of like, all right, we want to develop this. This is an area that we want to make this better because we've had so many safeties over the last few years that really outside of Brian Branch, it's been that. It's been like, all right, here's where they are now, but them getting better in man is like the next step for a lot of these guys. So we come in with the guys that are instinctual, with the guys that are willing hitters, as he said, right? Kirby wasn't known as like a run stuffer, but he was very willing, and he's become really good for us in that category. Branch was an elite run defender, but all of these guys were really comfortable in one area, right? They would take things away in zone coverage. They were instinctual. They had a feel. They were ball hawks in the back end. I think Dan Jackson carries some of that to maybe a lesser extent, maybe a lesser extent, but he's a pretty good athlete too. But the area of growth is needed is the man coverage element. And to me, him kind of saying that, I think kind of put it on a spotlight, but it also makes me think about all of these defensive backs that we've added over the years that Chase Lucas's, and he was a cornerback, but you think about those guys and their element was like, yeah, they're smart players though, right? They're smart players. They have a good feel for it. And even though we run a lot of man, we still need that first and foremost. So you have to have kind of the feel in the back. You have to have the instincts, the ball skills. You have to have that first, and then we can kind of work on the next element. And if you can get that next element to an area that it's good, right? If we can continue to build on that, that's when you become one of the best safeties because now you added this element to your game where it's like, hey, at least as long as you have the tool set to get there, now you got this element in your game where it's like, bro, that was the one thing you were missing. You're willing to run support. You have a feel for it. Now you're covering up dudes and man. Because I think in some ways too, even if I put them out there at safety, I can hide some of the man stuff. I just not ask him to do it, right? Like, hey, let's just utilize him as a zone player. Like, yo, you can't get into a man coverage assignment here. But in the meantime, he's going to be on special teams anyway. So it all kind of works out. And then you have a guy like Avonte Maddox too, who I think is going to have some real man coverage upside, but he's another guy too. It's like, yo, that dude just has a feel for taking the ball away, I think, in the back. I think he's going to shine more there at safety there. But anyways, that was kind of the overview that we got from Ray Agnew, which was exciting, right? It was good to hear from him, man. It's been a minute. Over to some of these notes, and I just want to touch on a few guys here because before we wrap this up, and again, Monday's the plan. The plan is Monday that we're going to really kind of dive into all of these tryout players, assuming that it still makes sense at that time. But when you look at some of these names, the veterans, there's multiple that catch my eye. Raekwon Williams is interesting, but he hasn't really played much in a while, right? For interior defensive line, he's kind of settled in as a nose tackle. Actually, no, take that back. He's played DT and DN. He's actually been more flexible along the front. It's actually more of Hoko, who's been kind of lined in as a nose tackle. But I think Raekwon's flexibility, he's always been someone I've kind of kept my eye on free agency hits all the time. Never made that move, but it makes sense more so as a tryout. You never really got to the point where like, oh, let's sign that guy. But for me, the big two to keep an eye on is Travis Gibson, because he's shown it. Like, he's shown that he can go during the regular season. He's done it against us. And I think the other interesting one here too is that Raekwon Williams, I believe it was a few years ago, he actually played against us in the preseason, and he did pretty darn well. So that's always something to kind of keep an eye on. But to me, it's Duke Shelley because of the background there, because he's done it, because the flexibility inside outside potential you could tap into. He's a little bit undersized as a corner. And then Travis Gibson, both those dudes can make it happen. These are fun tryout names, because in the past we had a lot of these tryouts where you have the young guys in there, but like a lot of the veterans, I don't know that we've ever had like a veteran really stick through a tryout. I don't know that's ever happened. I have to look into that. But some of these names, dude, some of these dudes can play, and they're also at positions that make sense. Like Duke Shelley could compete for cornerback 5. I think that's absolutely on the table, right? You move off of Vildor. I think he could compete for cornerback 5. I think that's definitely on the table. And then you have a guy like Tavion Montgomery, who I don't even think he's played in the NFL. He's only been in the league for one season. Like, I don't think he's actually taken any snaps in preseason or regular season. So like, you have a real mix there. But like, cornerback 5 is a legitimate competition area. There's competition there. Gibson's flexibility, but also just kind of settling in as a defensive end. Like, there's potential competition there, right? We're already looking at other free agents that could be available as well. And then as for some of these young guys that we got, like Corey Suttle out of Miami of Ohio, who kind of play in as a defensive end, his skill set and like kind of just a play style reminded me of Ahmed. Like, not to that extent, of course, but it reminded me of kind of the way that Ahmed plays, right? He's a little bit less bulky in the lower body. I feel like he got pushed around a little bit more, but kind of the get off, some of the looseness in his game, some of the slither, like the ability to kick him to the inside and split gaps a little bit. Like, some of that reminded me of Ahmed, the discipline, the kind of the toughness in open space. I got some vibes when looking at that. And then you got some receivers that, again, really haven't seen any production from. I mean, you got Brown out of South Carolina, who I'm pretty sure he hasn't played. I think he was UDFA last year. And then you also have a Malik Taylor, who threw me off because I was like, where is this dude? Well, he was picked up by the Packers like in 2019 out of Ferris State. So they're kind of staying local there. But and then Amir Hall. Amir Hall fired me up, by the way. Seeing Amir Hall's name on there from Michigan, man, made the clutch play this past year against Ohio State. That one fired me up, seeing Amir Hall being listed here. We got some good stuff going on. These tryouts are exciting. We got some good names in here. Luke Deal out of Auburn. Let's not overlook him. Look, man, here's the common thread with all these tight ends and lines that brought in, by the way. A lot of these dudes, right? I should have kept the list up. I just closed it. But a lot of these UDFAs, Pierce Corn as a blocker, even though he's a little bit undersized, but as a blocker, is it Hogan? I think it's Hogan's his name. The Indiana tight end. Like, these dudes, there's not a lot of production in the receiving game. If you look at Luke Deal, he's had like 17 receptions in his entire 6-year career as an Auburn Tiger. But this past season, when you watch him as a blocker, you're like, this guy's kind of awesome. He's big. He's 260, 6'5". He blocks in line, gets out in space well. Like, he's one of the better blocks. He could drop his weight, could drop his pads. Like, you get a lot of, he's really comfy in pass pro. Lions don't have a lot of tight ends. They brought in a fullback too. They don't really have a lot of tight ends with production as receivers that they brought in throughout these tryouts, or really as UDFAs. Like, they have a lot of dudes that are there to block. So I'm very curious when you think about a Kenny Yeboah, who also Zach Corton. There you go, Zach Corton. Good luck. When you have Kenny Yeboah, who also really doesn't have any production as a receiver as well, I'm curious to see, like, can any of these dudes kind of bring something, right? Can somebody stand out and be like, look, I got some juice here. Just throw me the ball. It's like, all right, can we get anything? But also more than that, just like not catching the ball, but can you separate it all? Because like Zach Corton, I don't think he's going to separate much against man. Can Pierce Corton separate against man? I don't really know. He catches a lot of passes his way, but can he really get open? Like, so can any dude pop at all as a pass catcher, break any kind of thing there? And I think they got like legitimate blockers across the board. So feels like they have a real type they're looking for here. Maybe that's more so for special teams, but I mean, beyond your top two with Brock Wright, like they've always seemed to kind of value dudes that would block first. So I'm just curious, man. I'm curious to see how it shakes out because none of these guys feel like, oh, that's the Shane Zylstra competition. That's the receiving threat. Like all these dudes are blocking tight ends, bro. I don't know how this is going to shake out. We got a lot of dudes that are going to block. So with that being said, this is the first day of rookie OTAs, man, opening up today. I think it was today that opened up. And yeah, I mean, we'll just kind of see where we go from here. Like I said, tryouts hopefully Monday. I think we'll get to we'll kind of do like a walkthrough of like all the players the Lions are bringing in for a tryout, kind of like we did with the UDFA video. There's a pretty good amount though, so I just didn't get it finished. Like there's just too many players, like 20 players on here. But that's the plan. We'll just have to fly through when we get there. But outside of that, man, it means things are rolling. Things are kicking off. Waiting for the kind of the veterans then next up. But outside of that, man, I'm gonna leave it there over here on Bleacher Report, man. I appreciate y'all joining for our Friday episode. I'll see y'all back on Monday, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Till then, have a great weekend, and we're out. Yeah. I think that ended. All right, chat. This was a weird episode. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I wasn't sure what to do today. That said, though, I knew I wanted to talk about Ray Agnew's presser. I knew I wanted to do that. I just couldn't finish all the players yet. So I was like, dang, I can't really pick one or the other. I kind of got to do both. So I guess we'll just like touch on some guys and then hold up. And then we'll revisit this, I guess. I don't know. What do you see them signing? Wait. When do you see them signing the other rookies that we drafted? I actually have no clue. I never really know on that. Like, I remember in the past, we actually used to do videos when the Lions would sign these guys. I'm probably not doing that anymore because they sign them all. They're going to sign them all. Like, there's 0% chance these dudes don't get signed. All right, so they're going to get signed. I just don't know when. I don't know when. I know we have like 3 or 4 that I think like officially signed today. So they'll get done. I don't know timeline wise though. I don't know how I don't know. That may be more on the team side. Like, okay, let's get our finances like this before we end up doing this contract. Because the number is set. Like I don't really know. I have no idea. But it'll happen. I'm confident, Skater Boy. It's gonna go down. What's keeping Smith from re-signing with us now? Money, bro. That's what's keeping him. I truly believe it's just money. I love to have him back though. So if you're watching, Zedarius, I'm back. We love to have you, man. We like you a lot, bro. You know, if Zedarius Smith want to come back, if he re-signed, I'd be very tempted to get a shirt that said Smith on the back. You know what I mean? I might have to put the Z back there just because, like, oh, that's Smith. It was Smith. There's a lot of Smith. But I don't know if we have another Smith. There's a lot of Smiths though out there. But the point is, I'd be close to that because I was so pumped when we traded for him. And I do think it'd be a fantastic duo. Hey, Peanut, you didn't have to bring that up. Look, we moved on. We moved on from that. That happened a long time ago. Peanut. That happened a long time ago. But I also do think too, and I was thinking about this when I was doing the edge rusher thing, is you know, like say they signed a Clowney, right? Like if you did something like that, and again, I know we're all like kind of concerned with the injury aspect, but it's kind of difficult to do something like that early. It's one thing with Zedarius because you traded for him. If you'd signed him, it'd probably be on a very cheap price point. Like you've already seemingly kind of lined out how that's going to work. He knows his role in this team. You kind of have an idea of how it's going to work. But if you like legitimately signed somebody, even if it was a reasonable deal, so it was $6.5 million, I don't know, just throw something like that out. It'd be kind of difficult to do it now, I think, from both perspectives, because ideally the Lions are healthy. I don't know what's going to happen. But if you came in with Davenport week 1 healthy, and obviously Levi, and you got Pascal, and it's like, okay, when do we play him? You know what I mean? Like, I guess you could like maybe get a series in there where it's like, all right, we're taking Hutch out. You get in there. It's like, all right, we're gonna give him a series of rest or something. But like the actual snaps that he's going to be getting feels a little bit difficult to really line up unless we know injuries are there, right? So it's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad to be prepared. I'm just saying from both sides, I think it might be a little bit difficult to pull that off. It might be hard. It may be a little difficult for both sides to be like, oh yeah, this makes a ton of sense. My path is clear here, because like it's not like Clowney's playing 20% of snaps. He's playing 60%. He's a starter still. That doesn't mean he has to be a starter wherever he goes, but it could be difficult for both sides to make it make sense and be like, yeah, we're going to pay you this much, but we're not really sure what your role is unless guys get hurt. And then for him to be like, yeah, I'm going to come here and play 15% of snaps till somebody gets hurt. It's like, that's kind of a weird, I don't think something like that would happen. You go to Washington, it's like, yeah, this dude's playing a lot. Okay. I don't think Washington drafted an edge rusher. So it's this dude's playing a lot. That would make it difficult. And then again, I kind of left him out of the video a little bit, but Muhammad, I'm excited about Muhammad. I think I might be higher on Muhammad than the Lions based on the contract they gave him. But if you look past the contract, I want to see Muhammad play more. Like, I feel like that guy's earned getting some snaps. So then again, I'm kind of placing him over Muhammad, it could be difficult for a guy like that to even make the team. So I don't know. I just think something like that, like Za'Darius makes sense because you've already had that in building. He'd probably be the biggest name that I think you could get done early. I think if you looked at DeMarcus Walker, you could do it early because his role doesn't have to be that large. I don't think his price point would be that high. Outside of those two, though, like it might have to be something that you just have to wait until you get closer, something pops up, or during the season. This dude's still available. Let's sign him. Bam, we'll get it rolling. That's kind of where my expectation would be. I think it's gonna be hard to pull something off like that anytime soon. Yeah, I just think it'd be difficult. Like the only position another position like could be like safety, like maybe safety could be signed if they wanted to, before the season started. Like they could do something like that because they could then see it and be like, all right, we got a lot of young dudes here. We don't feel great about how Eric Hallett's playing in training camp. Like, we just don't feel great about like a lot of these dudes that Lauren Strickland, like, hey, we like them, but we don't feel great about it right now. Then maybe at that point, like preseason training camp, you could bring in a vet safety because there will be guys out there. But that feels like the one position that could make sense. Tight end is just bare. There's just not a lot of good tight ends available. So that one just doesn't seem even on the table, really. Our rookies look like they can start. What are the difference makers from college to pros as to why they aren't good enough to start just yet? What are the difference makers from college to pro? I think I hear what you're saying. So like Tyleek's definitely gonna. I don't know if he's gonna start, but he's gonna play a lot. Tyleek's gonna play a lot. My whole thing was him just like speeding up the process. Also, as even as Ray Agnew said, like he feels like he's an underrated rusher. I didn't think he was like a great rusher in college. So if just take my grade, just take what I had for him. And again, full breakdown hasn't come out yet, but like the games that I went through, if I think he's slightly above average in college, in the NFL, I'm not looking at you as like a big time impact rusher. I'm looking at you like, all right, he'll get some wins. He'll get an edge right here and there, right? He might have a game with like 3 pressures, one with 0, one with 5 when he pops, like something like that. It's not like I'm going to be able to think that consistently this guy's going to be getting after it. So like just to take it from my perspective and even what he's saying, like there's still things that need to get there. I'm trying to think. So like Ratledge could definitely start. Like I could see Ratledge got things to work on, but he could definitely start. But outside that, like Tesla it's just I think snaps, bro. Tesla just needs snaps. He's going to probably line in a lot of different spots. I think for our offense, like in a lot of ways, we're going to get you open. It's just like, who are we playing? You know what I mean? Like if we're playing like a team that's sitting in zone a lot, I think he's going to be able to make it work. I think he could make it work pretty quickly because he's got the hands. Like you're not going to put him out there and he's going to be dropping passes. Like, I don't know if we can trust him. Like I don't think that'll be an issue. So I think he'll work. It just depends on the team that he's playing against, and he just might have be more comfy with somebody else. It's also kind of just where we're at as a roster. Like someone like Ahmed's not going to start. You know what I mean? Like unless literally everybody got hurt, that dude's not starting. Dude's not starting over who we got. And they're aware of that. You know what I mean? Like he's an upside rusher. What could he become as a rusher? Right? He's relentless. He even said he's a second and third effort, like kind of pass rush winner. Like it's like, okay, that's a nice piece to build on. That's the effort. That's the mentality that you want. That's typically not the guy that you're like that's starting day one as he wins on the second effort. Like, yeah, that's a good thing to have. But that's probably not a day one starter. That's because that means you're not winning the first time. So you're winning as things go on. You just keep working. That's 2 different things. But I'm with Ahmed. I'm just like, when is he going to get snaps? That's kind of where I'm at with it. Like I don't know when he's going to get snaps. So that also cloudies up kind of the whole signing an edge rusher type of deal. It makes everything really cloudy. The Luke deal might be a tight end who plays a lot because of his block. The Duke can block his tail off, man. I mean. And the thing for me that I like most is his pass protection. His pass protection was really strong. I think the big thing about him is first off the build, right? He's an older player, so he's super experienced and he's played a ton of games. He was a 2-time team captain before he ended up graduating, which makes sense because he's been in there a little bit longer. But he was comfy in all stages. Like he was comfy on a move, he was comfy in line, he was comfy as a run blocker and as a pass protector. Didn't mean it was all perfect for me, but there was a lot of positives. There's a lot of positives that I had with him because he could drop his weight a little bit. He's pretty powerful. He's an aggressive piece, right? When you put him out in space, he looked pretty comfy. He could really run. He could run and kind of catch up to guys, deal with dudes in space. He had a nice little lockout. His pass protection, he played really, really tight to other offensive linemen, so he really squeezed off angles pretty darn well. I don't doubt that at all. It's about him making the team first. The problem is with him is he didn't really have like a route tree from the games I went through. Like there was not really anything there. He kind of just like would sit out in the flat. You could still make the team like that. But again, it's still going to come back to do we like it on special teams? He has the mentality that feels like he could be a special teamer, so that could help his chances, maybe more than like a Pierscorn. But if Pierscorn, say for example, we put those two head to head, Pierscorn can block. He just needs to me, probably get a little bit thicker in the lower body, right? Trust it a little bit more. But if he actually can bring some value, even if it's just as a level 1 target, I think it'd be hard to roll with a Luke Deal over that piece if they were even somewhat close to each other's blockers, which I think they could be. You could look at it like that. And to Luke's credit, he's doing this at Auburn, right? He's not doing this against some bums. You know what I mean? Like he played really well against Georgia this past year. And you're like, dude, this guy, like if you watch him against Ingram Dawkins, that defensive end that went to Minnesota, like round 4, he was handling business every time he matched up with him. So he was a fantastic blocker. But if you're giving me nothing in the pass game, it's hard for that dude, I think, to make the team. As much as you can value blocking, I think it's hard to make the team if you don't add anything in the pass game, right? And then you're going to have to really rely on that dude's got to be awesome on special teams. I think he's got the skill set to make it work on special teams. Well, I just don't know if that's going to be like field goal block, or not field goal block, but like field goal team. That's not what I'm not keeping you for field goal team. Like they could think differently, but I'm not keeping you so I can keep you on the end of field goal team. Like I feel like I can put pretty much anybody to do that. I don't need you for that unless I'm faking some field goals here and there. Like I don't really need to emphasize like, oh yeah, but dude, he stands on the end really well. It's like, yeah, I don't need that. Okay. Can you go out there and hit people? Right? Can you lead block? Can you lead the way? That kind of thing. That's where it's going to have to pop. Like on kick return, can I put you out there and you can hit somebody? Because he did that in college. So he could be better than Pierscorn at that. And it's just like, it is, I don't know. I want to see it. That's what I want to see. I want to see if he can close any space in the pass game. Can he add anything in the passing game? That's where all these tight ends are kind of in a weird spot. It's like none of them really added anything. Pierscorn probably added the most, but he still wasn't like a separator. So like, I don't know. Can anybody bring any juice? That if somebody can, I think they have a real shot to make this team. And then remember, like Zylstra got better as a blocker too. He's just not really built like that. And that could be the same concern with Caden too. But like he got better as a blocker. I felt he just was like in the preseason. I thought he had some really strong games. He's just undersized. Don't say I love me some Lawrence Strickland, man. Like Strickland was my 53 man roster predictions were so bad last season. They were so garbage. But the one that I had was him making it. I'm like lashed with that, saying that he was going to make the team because I think I was probably like, 17 of 53. Like it was maybe the biggest disaster of all time, but I got one of them, you know what I mean? So like it hit, that was the one, but Strickland was awesome. Like he was easy because he was so awesome. He was awesome in training camp. He was awesome in the preseason. As soon as he started playing the slot, you're like, oh, this guy, they really like this dude. They're comfy with just put him in the slot. They're like, yeah, just go cover people. It's like, dang, dude, this guy's eating. This guy's eating. And then also, the whole, yeah, we don't need to go into that. So help me with Tyleek. He's leaving practice early. Not really a Michigan fan. Not a fan of his own number. At least he got a new puppy. I just want to get excited for this kid, and he's making it tough. So yeah, he's a cat guy, which is so he got a new dog, right? That's good. He got a new dog. That's good. You're not some people don't rock with cats. I rock with cats, but I like dogs more, but I rock with cats. Not a fan of his own number. 78 is kind of goofy. Like I'm not mad at him for not like rocking with 78. Like I feel like that's gonna look a little bit strange. 78 just don't feel right. I think it's 78. I think of like a big like broad dude. You know what I'm saying? That has like no agility at all. That's just like I'm just kind of like a wall, dude. Like that's what I visualize at 78. So it feels weird for him. So I get that. That number is probably gonna change. He's leaving practice early. Hey man, yeah, we got to get that right. They're trying to be smart with him. Which I think also probably speaks to where they're at with their D line. They're like, bro, this dude's gonna have to play week 1. Bro, dude's gonna be playing a lot from jump. It just is what it is. Ali's gonna be getting reps from jump. This dude is not. He's gonna be playing immediately on this team. So let's make sure he's good to go. Let's not mess something up here. That kind of gives you like a little insight to this whole thing. But yeah, the Luke Deal one. Let me see how close I am. To getting something out on this. Here's what I think. Maybe I'll split it into 2. Do you guys know the rookie OTA schedule? I don't know the schedule. I don't know how it works exactly. But my thing is I don't want to wait till Monday and then essentially have a video not make any sense because the tryout's already done. So what I'm thinking, here's what I'm thinking, right? Maybe Saturday, if I can get it out Saturday, I'll go through the players that are the rookies on tryouts, and I'll do a video on that. Bam. And then if by Monday it still makes sense, we talk about these vets because I think there is some interesting vets here, but they have NFL film, some of them, not all of them. I think that might be the goal because I'm not too far off finishing up with the rookies. I'm not too far off. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe that's the plan. Grant Stewart. We definitely got to do a Grant Stewart video. That will be coming at some point. Grant Stewart's a wild card to me because he plays really fast. He plays over the slot all the time, right? He doesn't really settle in the box too often. I'm intrigued, they made it work with Rodriguez. I don't think he's as strong as Rodriguez was, but I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see like how much they kind of like mess around with like where they can put him, because they need the linebacker depth. Like if you look at their team beyond Malcolm, they're kind of like, all right, we're kind of just a little bit mixed matched here with like who's our next guy. There's an opening for him, no question. And I think the more flexibility he can show, he's going to get himself locked in. But I'm curious if they feel like they can like mess around with putting him on the line a little bit, trying to get him out of the box a little bit, let him play a little bit faster. I'm curious. What is the ceiling of Mason Miller? You a big Mason Miller guy, huh? Wait, were you the one that said what is the ceiling, man? I don't have my notes handy, but I liked Mason. Like I think his build and the movement skills worked. So if he can move to the inside, I don't think he's gonna make the 53. We're just too deep. Ceiling probably practice squad year 1. And that's good. If you make the practice squad, dude, like you're in a good spot because you got Nite Mutai, bro. Like we're loaded on the interior. Colby Sorstel. We got a lot of dudes, man. If you can make the practice squad, you're in a good spot. You're in a good spot. What's up, Charles? I see you, Charles. Ratledge. Hey, man, I think it might happen, bro. Like, you know what I mean? I think eventually, it'd be fun. It'd be fun. It'd be fun because it was never on my mind, right, when they took him. So like the idea of like looking back and being like, yo, they really just went out here and grabbed their future center in the second round. That'd be pretty awesome. It'd be pretty awesome because like all these questions about like, dang, well, we just aren't addressing that spot. It's like, yo, we could have the future in our hands, bro. You could have Frazier next to Ratledge, next to Mahogany, next to Manu, next to Sewell. Bro, your starting 5 could be here for the future. That's pretty fire, right? Everything would have to work perfectly, but it could be. It could be. I'm now on that Nite Mutai sleeper. We just got. I already read that. I don't know why I read that twice. Faltanu special. SP. Wait, what does SP mean? SP. What you mean by SP? Special player? I don't know what you mean by that. I'm trying to think. Spelling. Faltanu spelling. Oh, how do you spell his name? No, don't ask me that. Don't ask me that, dog. That ain't me, bro. You know what I mean? I'm not that guy. You gotta have to chat GPT that thing. You know what I'm saying? That looks somewhat accurate though. I feel like that's right. But I have no clue. I'm not the guy. Maddox playing safety. I think so. I think Maddox about at safety. I think one, the easiest prediction for that too is like we don't really have any veterans at safety. So it's pretty easier. My whole thing with Maddox is this. I never really liked him as a slot corner. Never thought he was great as a slot corner. And like all the time, and literally it's y'all that have opened me up to this. Like now when I watch dudes, I always like immediately think like, all right, what else? What could be the other position? And really Brad Holmes is like forced this upon us, like with the Ife Melifanu move. We're like, now I'm watching corners. I'm like, wait, is he a safety? But I think with Maddox, like I never really liked him at slot. But then we saw what we did with CD Deuce, and he made this make sense. When CD Deuce came here, and I knew he was his nickel, he's his big nickel. Then you watch him like, hey, he's pretty darn good at safety. It's like, all right, they might be doing the exact same thing. So I think Maddox makes a ton of sense at safety. I think the reason I believe it'll happen, I just think that his skill set gets more highlighted at safety than it does at slot. I think he gets more exposed at slot. At safety, I think you get a lot more of the good out of him. We'll see though. But it would make a lot of sense and it would help us depth wise. We could definitely use it. And we got Rocky Sin, man. Dose to go. Hey, I appreciate you, Aaron. Colby Sorstel might be the odd man out. Oh, he definitely could be the odd man out. Where is Manu, by the way? Do we expect him here today? I don't think so, right? It's a rookie OTAs. So I don't think he would be there. I think he's now considered like a vet. I don't think those guys show up. I'm not great with the rules though, but I don't think so. No, what do you think about him? What do I think about him? Wait. I'm so lost. Tashard Choice. Tashard Choice is a very vocal coach. Look at that. Very vocal coach. Shout out to the Shard Choice for being a vocal coach. That's good, man. That's good. You got to have good communication. It seems like everybody's pretty fired up about that one, too. Like, this dude has a pretty big resume, which makes sense. I mean, the dude was coaching running backs at Texas, and he's done a lot before that. But it's like you get that job, you're probably doing something right. Those dudes are loaded. They could get anybody to coach that room, it feels like, in the country they want. Like, anybody they want, they could you know what I'm saying? Like would take that job. It feels like as high as it can get as a running back coach. Like that's as good as an NFL job, in my opinion. Like, dude, you're coaching Texas running backs. That's pretty fire. especially now in the SEC. Like, it doesn't get much better than that. I'm trying to see. Oh, good old binder. Good old binder. Patanu. Oh, okay. Yeah, he was in our UDFA video. He was in our UDFA video. I believe he was in there. So that's something that's definitely worth checking out if you want to get more of my thoughts there. I'll have to find my notes. I'll have to find my notes while we're sitting here live. Our third string safeties and tight end are kind of underwhelming. Yeah, I mean it's third string. Yeah. Third string would be third string for safety would be like Strickland / Hallett. I think Hallett's super interesting. That's going to be something we do this offseason too, is really dig into these safeties, because it tells me something. I think the Lions didn't invest more in that position, but at the same time, like Hallett can really play in coverage, and that dude's got a really good build to kind of be versatile as well. And we haven't really seen him as Lions fans, so we just don't know anything about him. But Hallett, I think to me is the most intriguing of those guys. And then you have Lawrence Strickland, who was awesome, that played everywhere. And then you also have trying to remember the other safety's name. He's a little bit bigger, and I kind of forgot about some of these dudes too, because we had a couple guys last year that I liked a little bit, and they ended up just not being brought back after this past season. Oh, Mo Norris. Yeah, Mo Norris. Mo Norris plays everywhere. Like, Mo Norris is he's a little bit thicker, but he's very comfy in the box. Like, he feels like he's pretty well built to sit in the box. So Mo Norris was interesting. I think we got some interesting names. They just, again, it's kind of back to the whole thing. Like, they don't need other people essentially to believe in the guys that they believe in, right? They believed in these dudes and they kept them around. And look, I mean, a guy like Strickland's an easy one because he earned sticking around. We just didn't really get to see it really from Norris because he got hurt, but he only played one preseason game, and he was pretty nice in that preseason game, I thought, against the Giants. That's the only time we saw him. And then he came back for one snap during the season. I think he gave up a reception, which was kind of messy. So I want to see if Mo Norris, I like how physical he is, but I feel like if he could maybe like slim down a little bit, be more agile in space, we could have something there, because he plays so proactive. He may just have to become a little bit looser. Maybe he tries to change his body type a little bit this season. Eric Hallett, to me, is the interesting one, though. Like, size and movement skills. That one's the one I'm really circling here. So you're talking about Leaf. Yeah, I thought he was a very strange body type for center. I thought he was really strange as a center. He might be center only, I think, is the note that I had on him specifically. The Lions were the third most in passing yards allowed a game. Do you think they get better this year? Third most passing yards allowed. I don't know. They've been pretty bad at that, like, every year. They've given up a lot of passing yards. I think a lot of that too is they're usually playing with a lead, so a lot of teams just start throwing the ball. And it's kind of the same thing with the run game, right? Like, I brought this up many times. Like, the advanced analytics aren't great for the Lions to get us to run, but they don't give up a lot of run yards. They're typically one of the best teams in rush yards per game. So I think it's kind of just the inverse of that, right? You're playing with a lead, teams are throwing a lot, those yards crank up. So I think in some ways it's not a bad problem. Like, it's like, all right, that means we're playing with lead a lot. Some of the explosives are the key. We tend to give up some explosives, especially early in the year. We give up a lot of explosives, so dialing that in. But I think our calling card has always been like red zone defense, and then it's become like third down defense. Like, situationally, Lions become really good, and that's the key. Like, I think you look at the last game against Washington. Situationally, they weren't good. They didn't get Washington a lot of third and long situations. I think they had like 1 3rd and 10, picked up like a massive first down early in that game. It was like a 3rd and 13. They hit like a deep curl route on the outside, so we gave up that first down. But like, we didn't get them in a consistent bad third down situations, but such a big part of the Lions at the end there was situationally. I mean, Minnesota was the best example. They just shut them down every time they needed a big play. So as long as that's dialed in, I don't think I'm too worried about the yards per game. Like, you'd want to see less explosives, but I think it's going to happen in some sense. You're going to get some PIs too, because they play too aggressive. Some of it's just going to happen when you're playing 1-on-1. You're going to get beat sometimes. I can live with that. As long as they're good situationally, I think we can live with it. Because typically their completion percentage allowed is way on the lower side, right? They make teams earn it, so their completion percentage is much lower on that side, and their interceptions over the last couple of years have really jumped up. Sewell is tight end 3. I remember it like it was yesterday. His game ceiling first down. He would have scored if he had not tripped. Maybe that's the plan. The plan is Sewell's tight end 3. There you go. My Jets bud tells me Kenny Yeboah was a fan favorite. That's interesting, bro. Like, who would that be for the Lions? The guy that's like not really productive, but like people love him. Who would that be for the Lions? Like Kabinda? Like, could Kenny Yeboah be like the Kabinda, where it's like, all right, he's not really doing anything, but we kind of love him, one, because he's got crazy eyes. Now he's on NFL Network, I think. But like, you just love that dude. Like, bro, he's not catching much, but he's got a little flat. He's getting in the end zone. Like, that dude is fire. I don't know. Shout out to Jason Kabinda. Maybe that's our Kenny Yeboah. Maybe that's who it is. The dude's massive though. Like, he's a big dude. TK85. Oh, there you go. No, I don't even want to do that to him, because Tom Kennedy has cooked though. Like Tom Kennedy's cooked. Like I feel like Kennedy's been more productive than Yeboah. Yeboah really like hasn't done anything as a pass catcher. Kennedy's cooked at times, bro. But I'm not mad at that because Kennedy's like, I know exactly what I'm getting here, bro. I know exactly what I'm getting with this dude. It's like he gets the job done though. And also, here's what helps Kennedy though. Here's the difference. This might be Yeboah. I gotta look. Yeboah might be dominant in the preseason. If Yeboah is dominant in the preseason, that's a great comparison because Kennedy will cook in the preseason. Kennedy will cook dudes in the preseason, bro. It's like everybody's inconsistent, but Kennedy, he's on it. So that dude just torches dudes in the preseason. Yo, this dude's the preseason Hall of Famer, bro. And that's no disrespect. That dude is just consistent as they come, man. So maybe that's what Kenny is. Kenny's cooking dudes in the preseason. Because 91 was available and 6 is a 9 upside down. Who took 91? I missed something. Todd said he took 91. Who's 91 right now? Isn't Levi 91? Am I missing something? 91. Yeah, Levi's 91. So you're saying he took 91 because he took 60. Oh, you took 61. I can't read. No, that's on me. That's on me. I'll eat that. That's on me. Took 61. I'm like, that doesn't make. Okay, he took 61. Wait, who took 61? Let me check. I'm gonna figure this out. Now you know what? I'm not even gonna try to figure it out. I'm just gonna let y'all tell me in the comments because I'm slipping my mind now. Let's do a 2026 mock this weekend. Is that the move instead? What do we think? We do that, or do we do the? It's always weird with the offs. You know what I want to look up? What is the off-season program schedule? Right. This is what we need to figure out. We need to figure out how this is gonna off-season program schedule. All right, we gotta see how this is all gonna line up. That way we can prepare. You know what I mean? We gotta be able to prepare this. All right, let's see. OTA minicamp dates. Let's check it out. I'm excited to see Lovett's slot position. Yeah, well, and I think about Khalif too. He reminds me of Khalif in his build a ton, right? And he can go like Khalif, and he's got some juice. And Khalif has always been really good after the catch. I get Khalif vibes a little bit there, and this might be his last year, which I don't want to talk about because I love Khalif, but it could be. It could be. So I think about Khalif there. Like I want to see if he can maybe by the end of the year we can get some juice out of him or something on special teams where he kind of surprises. Maybe he becomes our kick returner, right? Maybe Lovett becomes the Lions kick returner. We could use that. I think it's an open competition. In my opinion, it should be an open competition. So he could show something there, maybe. All right, here we go. So Lions off-season workouts, April 22nd, which is past. Rookie minicamp, May 9th, all right, through the 11th. So all weekends, rookie minicamp. Okay. So rookie minicamp is this weekend, which is likely then that tryouts end this weekend. I would assume that, like, they're probably going to start moving off guys they tried out after this weekend. So I think tomorrow we have to emphasize one of these tryout videos. I don't know if it's going to be vets or the young guys. Probably the young guys because the vets are like, you could re-sign them down the road. Probably the young guys. So I think I want to focus on that. If we're going to get some out this weekend, probably that. Because we won't really have like things from minicamp to talk about, I don't think. And then we got OTAs at the end of May 28th. OTA offseason workouts, May 28th, and that ends on June 5th. And then mandatory minicamp is early June. So we'll have like a break there. I think during that break is when we hit 2026 draft stuff. I think that should be the plan because I think if we hit it this weekend, we're just going to miss out on that whole opportunity to talk a little bit about some of these potential fits. So I think that's the move. We got like a 3-week nothing happening there. So like that could be in the time where we're also finishing up going through some of these draft picks we got, and then hopefully getting to some more of these free agents that we brought in as well. We did the Roy Lopez one, but we got a lot. Man, we got a long way to go. Who put Leon Larson running back as the last Lions pick on my mocks. You know, he's crazy. Like y'all were breaking him up when we were live. I didn't know anything about him. I literally knew, or Larson. I knew nothing about him. Y'all were telling. I was like, bro, if we take him, y'all got to break it down because I have no clue. And then I don't think he's even here, right? So it's like, where'd he go? Did he go somewhere? I don't know. 32nd pick, the Lions select Garrett Nussmeier. Oh, that would be a steal, bro. That'd be a steal. Nussmeier's a dog. Nussmeier's my favorite quarterback, by the way. He's my favorite quarterback next year right now. I love watching Nussmeier play. Early on, I didn't. We were doing quarterbacks. I didn't know who Nussmeier was. Like it's crazy as it sounds. So I was just watching. I was like, dog, I love this LSU dude. I was like, bro, this guy's got to be coming out. And then you find out he's not. And it's like, man, I was gonna have him way up there. So I love Garrett Nussmeier, man. That dude, dog. I think he's gonna be a dog. Steelers, I think. Okay, good for him. Good. Glad he got picked up somewhere. I interpret him as a mean streak. Good. I don't care if my D line are likable. I think it's a great thing that Tyleek is a bit brash. There you go. Yeah, we could have some dogs up there. We gotta have some dogs. We just gotta have some crazy dudes. You know what I mean? Some crazy energy guys. Or do you need dudes that are chill? Because I feel like we got some crazy energy guys. Like Levi's kind of a crazy energy guy. I don't know. I feel like you got to be built a little bit different to make it last. You just got to be built. You got to have like a I don't care if I'm hurt kind of deal. Like if you're gonna be any kind of trench player, you gotta be wired a little different. There are some chill dudes though that made it work. I think Wingo doesn't feel crazy, but I think like Becton was pretty chill, and he's taking a minute, but he's figured it out. Klubnik got better team, especially. Klubnik's gonna be up there too. I can't even concede the 2026 draft. Hey, he's right around the corner, bro. You better get ready. Right around the corner. Yeah, yeah. All right. I don't think I missed anything. Schedule release next week. Oh, I forgot about that. Wednesday. Okay, actually, that's good. I'm glad you brought that up. So we are doing a show for that. And that show, because we typically go 6 p.m. We're going live like when that thing drops. So Monday we'll do something. I don't know what we're gonna do Monday, but Wednesday we're gonna go like around when that thing drops. We're gonna go live to react to the schedule release. We did it last year too, but we're gonna do that. Any thoughts on the Georgia heavy draft? That's interesting. So he was kind of laughing about it. Ray Agnew was kind of laughing about it. Like, yeah, then we went back to Georgia. I think the big thing is all the Georgia guys like, yeah, it's kind of like a Georgia practice. Like, the walk, they pace a little bit faster, but it's kind of the same, right? It's like a Georgia practice. So I think there is truth to that. Like, certain programs are just kind of built like NFL programs. I also like quickly had the thought where I was like, you know, I wasn't as high on like what was it? Nolan, the little edge rusher that came out of there, like 2 years ago from Philly. I don't think I was as high on him specifically. I really liked Jalen Carter. He's my favorite player. But point is, like these dudes have, especially on the trenches, they've worked. Like I could see, like I thought for a second, like maybe you're just looking around, you're like, these dudes get it right, bro. Like Georgia guys hit. I feel like they have a pretty high hit rate. Like it's not may not be a bad swing. Especially like I think about the back end of the draft because like to me the Tate Ratledge one, like a guard that high, you're gonna like the guard wherever he's from. But I think about the back of the draft, right, where you're kind of taking swings on guys, right? We went Chase Lucas, Arizona State. We went Jamar Jefferson, Oregon State. Some of these dudes have sticked around in their credit. But like taking a swing on two Georgia guys, I'm not saying it changes anything. It doesn't guarantee anything, but like I don't know. Does it give them a better shot because they're both from Georgia? That it's like, hey, they're gonna at very least have the work ethic, and if they were cooking on special teams in college, maybe that's the better school to go to at the end. Like if you really want to give yourself the best chance of the guy actually sticking around. Like actually, let's do that real quick because we also took Antoine Green. I think that was round 7, North Carolina. Like this is it's different, bro. Like it's different. So you had, okay, we didn't have a 6th round. Yeah, Antoine Green was North Carolina. Chase Lucas, Jamar Jefferson. Those were our 7th round picks. So like Jefferson stuck around. Antoine Green, I'm not gonna say he stuck around, but he's kind of here. Chase Lucas stuck around for a little bit, got the nod with the Niners. He actually played pretty well. So like no disrespect to any of these dudes, but like I could see you being like 7th round. Maybe we maybe we go to Georgia. Maybe it's just coincidence too. It's probably more so just coincidence than anything. Because Dan Jackson did make a ton of sense. And but like the Lovett one feels interesting. Like you could have went with a small shifty receiver, right, that could run, but you went Georgia. You know what I mean? You went with the dude on special teams from the big school. Like you went that route. I don't know. That's what's hitting me a little bit. Like maybe that gives you a better chance. Maybe in some world that helps you out. Because you had Mahogany, but that was round 6. Sorstal William Mary, that was round 5. Houston was Houston was a small school. Like he transferred from Florida, but Jackson State, like, I don't know. I don't know, man. Which edges are we passing on in the 2026? Let's get a head start. That's crazy. There are some dudes at the top, though. I've seen a couple of the Clemson guys next year. They got some versatile dudes next year. They got some powerful defensive linemen. I'm always very cautious about Clemson's D linemen because they never seem to work for whatever reason. That said, though, there are some dudes up front. Actually, week 1, give me Chicago or Washington. Yeah, give me Washington. You know what I mean? I'd rather play Washington week 1. Eagles or Commanders. But Yeah, I'd take Washington again. I love the running back with Washington. Washington gonna be trash this year, bro. Straight up. Why did they gonna be as good this year? No, they're not gonna be trash. I'm curious on Dallas though. Just a side note, like I want to see what Dallas is about this year. Am I the only one that's like a little bit interested? Like I don't think they're gonna be good. Like I wouldn't bet on them. But at the same time, like I can't get out of my mind, like, bro, when Micah was healthy, they were really good on defense at the end of the year. Like they battled every team, like since like they were going with it. And it's like we didn't play them with Micah, and I think we still would have beat them because they couldn't stop the run at all. But we're one of the best rushing teams. And Washington was one of the best rushing teams last year. And Philly's one of the best rushing teams. So it's like you're in a really tough division if you can't stop the run at all. Like that's probably the worst division to get into outside of maybe our division where you got to do with Jacobs. But I don't know. The Vikings haven't been that great running football either. They interest me, man. I think the Cowboys could be sneaky, dude. I don't know if they added actually any help though on the inside. That's the one thing I haven't looked at. Unless Mazi Smith picks it up, maybe they need that to happen because they got a lot of dudes that you like. They just need some dudes on the inside. What did Lovett say? Lovett said like nobody's touching a quarterback with Tate Ratledge. Like I like that. Yeah. Okay. They brought Odigizua back. Like that's not the went seventh round. They don't really have anybody on the interior there. That's the problem. They got dudes that can get after it. Micah Parsons, Ezraku. You still got Dante Fowler, Marshawn Nealon. They brought in Peyton Turner too, which is interesting. I don't know about that one, but like they've invested there. Their interior is just a disaster. The interior is kind of a mess. So that could still be an issue. They gotta sweep the Giants. They gotta sweep the Giants. Because they look like a 2-4 team against their division. That's gonna be a problem. They're in the wrong division, not be able to stop the run. That's the problem, man. I like the team. They got some dudes at corner. I really like their dudes at corner. They just can't stop the run. They just can't stop the run, bro. They got they're in the wrong division and not be able to stop the run at all. Jalen Ramsey goes back to the Rams. Oof. Definitely could. If I was the Rams, I would get that done. I mean, you got the Stafford deal done. Why not? I don't see why not. Uh, Darius Williams is nice. Witherspoon's been good over there for him though. He's been good. They brought Forbes in. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to do anything. I would. Like, why not, dude? And Ramsey still plays at a high level. It's just a financial aspect there. Shout out to Quentin Lake. I got a signed football card from Quentin Lake. He didn't like give it to me, but I opened like a pack like 2 years ago, and it was Quentin. I had no idea who he was, and now he's like a starter. That's pretty cool. That was like one of those where you're like, oh man, who's this guy? You like they made up a person and someone just signed this, and then a couple years later, like, wait a minute, Quentin Lake's pretty good. This is actually pretty good. It's worked out pretty well. Like I see why they put it in the pack. It's like, oh, they'll just give it to anybody. But man, that one's actually worked out pretty well. By the way, sleeper name. I'm looking at their roster right now. How about and they added Josiah Stewart too. Like they got dudes that can get after it. They got DeSwan Johnson still there. How about Nick Hampton? Is Nick Hampton playing yet for the Rams? That one, man. They took him in the 5th round. That feels like the Colin Oliver pick this year by Green Bay. Nick Hampton feels like Colin Oliver. Will either of those guys hit? I don't know. Debo is overrated. I think so. I think so. I think he's overrated right now. I think he's overrated right now. And I only say that because, like, I saw a list that said like top receiver duos, and it was up there, him and Terry. It's like, bro, above the Lions is crazy. Above the Lions is crazy. Like, I get it, Terry's a dog, but like above Saint and JMO is crazy. I can't go there. Trade Jair for Jalen Ramsey. All right, let's not give them any ideas. Let's not give the Packers any ideas. Let them stay with Jair Alexander. He's a great player for him. Let's let him ride with that. I don't know who the NFL will give us week 1. Man, I don't know. They're going to give us a good team. They won't give us a trash game. They're going to make money on that game. I mean, we got the first preseason game, right? So we get 4 preseason games. We got the Hall of Fame game, which is awesome, by the way. It's great. We're going to get an extra week to watch the young guys, which is amazing. I'm fired up for that, dude. We get to really start things off, but they're going to make money on that because the Hall of Fame game, nobody bringing in numbers. It will, and it's low. They're also going to sell some tickets there with how close it is. But I might end up going to that one. But specifically the week 1. Oh, they're making some bread off of that game. You know what I mean? They're not going to give us a trash game. They're not putting us up there with like, how about Cleveland? I don't want to disrespect teams right now, but like they're not going to give us a bad team. We're going to get a great team. Everybody's hyped about. I have no idea what to expect AFC West or NFC West. They're good divisions, man. AFC West, yeah, it's a mess, dude. I like the Chargers. I think the Chargers are a problem. Oh man, I don't know though. I'm disappointed on the Raiders. They're not playing Aiden O'Connell, so I want to believe in him, but I won't because Aiden O'Connell's not the starter. Until Aiden O'Connell's the starter, look, man, they should beat the Chiefs last year. I think they're playing themselves, but I'll bet on the Chargers there. NFC West, I'd still bet on the Rams. I think. Did y'all see the little goofy Devontae Adams video? I'm gonna be honest, that was awkward. I see what they're doing. It definitely hypes people up, but I was like, this is kind of weird. Really, you showed Devontae Adams highlights. Like, what are we doing? We're doing too much. This felt like some goofy Hard Knocks thing that we posted here. It just felt like too much, bro. And I'm saying that as someone that's like, yeah, if they played JMO highlights, I'd get fired up too. So I'm definitely being a hypocrite here. But it just felt weird. It's like, all right, we know Devontae's a dog. We don't need to put everybody in the room and be like, hey, let's watch Devontae Adams highlights. What are we doing, bro? Like, I don't want to see all this, dude. What are we doing? Everybody, we're watching Devontae highlights together. Okay, we got you. Lions versus Chiefs again. Let's run it, dude. Let's run it. I don't know. Let's run it. Like, I'm not worried about the Chiefs. I just think they'll have some excuses though when they lose. Oh, it's week 1, man. There's a lot of injuries and stuff. Like, get out of here, dude. Now, give me Washington. I want to shut Washington down week 1, bro. I ain't worried about Washington. Give me Washington. What are your couple non-Lions players from the draft you are interested to watch next season? That's a good question. Let me pull up the list of draft picks because I feel very invested in this year's draft. Next year we're even going to be more invested, but like I feel pretty good, in terms of like how I feel about this year's draft. So let me pull it up. Show them Jets highlights, like 2 clips. Yeah, bro. Yeah, why do we do that? Like, I feel like if anything, it was like, all right, let's not like almost let's act like that year didn't happen for Devontae. That was such a disaster over there. Like, remember when he came on the McAfee show and he was in the background, like, oh snap, hey, return to greatness, bro. All right. Anyway, I want to see what Atlanta's dudes do. I want to see what Pierce and Jalen Walker are about. I want to see if they're cooking this year. Shamar Stewart, everybody's gonna keep their eye on that. I want to see like if because he's gonna get snaps. There's no way he's sitting behind Joseph Osai. There's no shot that dude's not playing a ton of snaps with Joseph Osai as the other guy there. He's absolutely getting on the field a ton. So I want to see those 2 guys. I want to see if he pops. Let me see on another one. Like I'm sure Malachi Starks is going to be awesome. So I don't really got much for that one. I want to see Tyler Booker. I'm a big Tyler Booker fan now, man. After talking to him, that dude's fire. I like what the Browns did, so I'm interested in their whole thing there. I'm gonna go TJ Sanders because I was a TJ Sanders believer for Buffalo. It's kind of a weird fit in Buffalo with what they already have. And then of course Demetrius Knight, bro. Like, I'm not a Bengals believer, but I think Demetrius Knight can start day 1. Let me see. Who else is in here? Who else do we want to point out? There's a lot of dudes, man. Um, I would say Kyle Williams because I don't think he's going to be great like year 1. Like I'm a little bit more pessimistic. I don't think he's going to be great year 1. So I would say a guy like that just because I don't think it's going to pop. I'm curious to see if it does. Um, Noel Williams to Kansas City is interesting. He's interesting. I like the Saints ones because I think the Saints got a lot of players that might play right away. You know what's an interesting one? I'm gonna go here. Jalen Smith to Houston. I think he's a perfect scheme fit, right? And what they've gotten out of their cornerbacks. I mean, you have questions about those guys. They come in and they're fantastic. So Jalen Smith to Houston in round 3. And I would say Charles Grant from the Raiders because I was such a believer in Charles Grant. I think there's gonna be up and downs there. Savion Jones is a good fit for Denver too. But I'm gonna go Jalen Smith there. And then I think the Saints drafted a lot of dudes that could play right away. Or that will play for them because of where their team's at. Like if I go to they're just gonna get dudes on the field. Calvin Banks is gonna start. Tyler Shuck, like that's fun. I want to see what that turns out. Broughton. I'm not really that excited about that one, but Sanker could start. Stutzman, he could start. Quincy Riley, I mean, that dude could legitimately start. Devin Neal could play a lot where they moved off their running back. Fadil Diggs is in it. Like, bro, they got a lot of dudes that might play a lot this year. Did TJ Sanders over Tyleik Williams? I think I did. I don't know. Let me check. But I do. But trying to think. I think it was what video was it? We had a video where I talked about that. And when I put together my rankings, the thing that I wish I would have done, because I finalized these rankings. I was putting them together at the airport when I was landing in Green Bay. And then that morning or that night, it was that night, I woke up like 4 a.m. to get that thing done. I didn't look back at Tyleik Williams and take his. Yeah, I had him above him. I didn't look back at Tyleik Williams for what I had for his actual grade. I just kind of went off of memory and it was 3 months out. It was 3 months earlier that I had went through Tyleik Williams. So for me, I wish I would have. I had the doc. I wish I would have pulled it up and kind of looked and saw like what I had. I just went based on memory and threw that one in there. So I wish I would have did that one. And I bring that up because like I left off a cornerback from the list entirely. I didn't even mean to do it. I just didn't put him on there. I don't, for whatever reason, I just forgot to list him. So that happened too. And there's a couple of those, but yeah, I did. I have one spot, but I was a big TJ Sanders guy. The difference is though, Sanders a little bit hit and miss discipline wise. He's also a much different build, like two very different players. Sanders, I always struggle with because like I don't really know how he's going to fit with us. Like he's undersized, but I think he can definitely get after the quarterback. That's kind of the buy in there. Is I think he's going to go after it. Depth, two different types of players. Aleem or Sewell is probably the strongest on the team. Malcolm Rodriguez, hey, depending on what we're talking about, bro. Like pound for pound, I would roll Malcolm. Malcolm's crazy. That league seems like a bigger, stronger Aleem. I remember Aleem dropped a lot of weight. Like Aleem probably dropped 20 pounds, 20 plus pounds. Remember, like, and he, kind of rocked up a little bit, cut up a little bit. So he became like an much more explosive athlete than he was. And I think for Tyleik, like he's not the most explosive athlete, but he's powerful. So, and they might be able to kind of rock with where they're at there. But like, yeah, man, Aleem, I would say Aleem's impressive because he like trimmed down. He was able to make it work on the inside. That's crazy. He's not a very big dude, but he's just explosive as heck. But yeah, Tyleik's strong. Like big, strong dude. Tyleik's just impressive, man. Impressive for a guy to move like that. That dude, he's carrying his weight well. I'll give him that. The dude does not look sluggish at all. He carries his weight well. Some of those dudes, they look kind of sluggish. He doesn't. Misses 4 games. That'd be fantastic. If he only missed 4 games, it'd be fantastic. And I'm prepared. Like I think we're prepared to miss like 8 games with him. Like I think we'll be okay with that. It wouldn't be ideal, but I think we'd survive. I think we'll survive. Reader and Aleem. He should be. I think he could be closer to like Reader in his play style down the road. Like I think he could be closer to that. But in terms of the Aleem sense, maybe he cuts up at some point. Maybe he gives you more juice than Reader, and he's definitely going to be more flexible than Reader. So yeah, I mean it makes a ton of sense, dude. Caleb Williams is changing his nail color to yellow this season. Okay, that's crazy. I feel like that was. I feel like that's made up, bro. He's gonna rock one color. Come on, man. That's the whole point. You gotta change it up. I don't know how hard that stuff is to get off though. So maybe it's like, it's like it's not coming off. I'm just gonna leave it. I don't know. I'm just gonna paint over it again. Ward and Shador for sure. Oh, true. Yeah, true. You gotta check out the quarterbacks. I mean, I don't think Shador is gonna play a lot. I want to see Kenny Pickett over there. I'm a believer Kenny Pickett's going to cook with Cleveland. Like I think he's going to do well. I think he's going to, I didn't love him coming out, but I think he's going to be like, oh man, Kenny Pickett can kind of play a little bit. Like my guess would be bold prediction. There's like week 5, people are like, yo, Kenny Pickett, is he the future? Like I don't think it'll last, but I think it'll be there for a minute. I'm fired up to see him. And then yeah, Cam Ward will be. I don't know. I'm interested. Not like the big Cam Ward guy, but I'm interested. Could be good. Hopefully it is good for them. They had a lot of dudes you like last year. They just lost like every game the worst way ever. Over the elite Joe Flacco. That is true. I think so, man. I think so. Like I think Kenny's gonna roll, man. I think Kenny and that coaching staff can play. I think he's gonna be very comfortable being in a rough situation too. I think Shador is gonna be like a little bit, he's been at a different level. Dylan Gabriel can play on time. I just think things are gonna be really messy. I think Pickett will be more comfy. I think he'll just handle it better, man. I don't know. Kenny Pickett just gives me that vibe. Like that dude's just gonna handle business. All right. It might be a little ugly, but he gonna handle business. You know what I mean? I feel like he's mentally tough. He's already been thrown through the ringer, man. He's gonna be fine. Hilarious. The PFF had Loveland at 28. Every sim they underrated him so hard. Yeah, dude, Loveland fired up there. From a simulator perspective, some had him higher. They were definitely lower on him, but I always feel like I think PFF looks at tight ends differently just based on the last few years. Like, remember a year ago, they loved Notre Dame's tight end. I think the NFL is now visualizing tight ends differently, really, after that draft, after Michael Mayer and Sam Laporta. Everybody kind of uses Laporta as reference. Like, dudes that can get open and separate, those are where we're going to lean. We're not leaning towards he's got to be a great blocker and like a reliable pass like dudes that are going to go get open. So I think Laporta helped start a lot of that, but like even what you had with the big tight end out of Georgia a couple years ago, like Those dudes, I think, are by the NFL getting more like this. And I think the simulators love them because they feel the well-roundedness in there. And they feel maybe the consistency and the dominance in college, but it's like in the NFL, bro, it's just a different game. You got to be able to get open. So like I ended up putting level in that one when it all was said and done. I just think they're in two different spots, and they'll probably change their thought process on it. My guess would be that it's going to start to change how I look at those guys. Kyle Pitts is like the only one that feels like he was kind of unanimous because he was like, yeah, this guy's kind of a receiver too. Like he wasn't even just a tight end; he was a receiver. DJ Reader gone after this season. I think Levi gave us a hometown discount. Shout out to Levi for being amazing for that, and he may be gone. But I had to remind myself last night. I was like, you know what? Don't count out Reader. You loved DJ Reader. You say this about draft picks, right? I stick to my guns on draft picks. Don't count out DJ Reader. You loved DJ Reader when they signed him, and I was like, I did. I was talking to myself. I did love DJ Reader when they signed him. This guy's gonna be a dog. We're good, bro. And he's a year out from the injury now. Let's roll. I'm a DJ Reader guy. Rich Eisen says David Shaw. I might get a shirt for DJ Reader. She says David Shaw should have gotten a head coach offer. Very encouraging. Rich Eisen said that. We saw Rich Eisen. We saw Rich Eisen at Green Bay. We saw him at a coffee shop. Coffee shop that we went to. What were we doing that morning? I think it was day one. I think it was the day one. It might have been it was day one. I think it was day one. Yeah, it was day one for the draft that morning. We saw Rich Eisen getting some coffee. I got like a latte or something. That thing was crazy to carry back. I mean, it was like filled, so I couldn't anyway, that's not important. He did. No, he did. You know what I mean? That's how you know lines are innovating, right? Gibbs, Laporte, lines are changing the way that people view things, which shows you the innovation, and that's why you got to believe in their aggression. You know what I'm saying? Because they have their own mindset, but it doesn't work if you don't have it all on a string. So like you can tell they have it on a string with Campbell because Campbell's bought in, which means that if he's not bought in, those guys won't get the snaps because like, oh, he doesn't do this pretty well. So they're all together, man. You can tell they're connected, and that's why it works. And it won't work for everybody for that reason. That Super Bowl champ, Kenny Pickett. Hey, Kenny Pickett's gonna be a problem. I'm betting on Kenny Pickett this year. My stock, if you could buy stock in quarterbacks, I'm buying stock in Kenny Pickett, bro. I think he's gonna cook. Buy low on Kenny Pickett, bro. If Joe Flacco is a dog, Kenny Pickett can be a problem. Who do you think gets the media hype this training camp? All right, let's do one. Well, and then we'll leave it on that. Let me see. Who gets the media hype this training camp? Ooh, okay. I'm going to say we talk a lot about Isaac Tesla. He's already getting a lot of conversation. So that'll happen from the rookie class because he's too big and fast. He'll get a lot of conversation. Said he'll cook. He'll just win because he's better than other players. But he'll have some ugly reps too. But he'll get a lot of talk. I'm going to roll. Where do we want to go here? You never go offensive lineman. I would never go offensive lineman with this question. St. Brown's always great. I don't know. I'm trying to think, man. Like, who could be that dude? I know what I want to say, but I just don't. You know what? I would say DJ Reed. I would say DJ Reed. I think DJ Reed's going to be a handful in practice. He's going to be so physical with dudes in one-on-ones, which you have to be to live. He's going to get a lot, I think, of attention. Like Rakestraw last year in training camp was awesome for similar reasons. My guess is DJ Reed's going to be a fan favorite in the training camp. Like people are going to be like, oh, this guy's amazing. This guy's amazing. I think Rakestraw is going to be great in training camp again too, but that'd be my guy. He's like the perfect mold to do it. He's going to match up with St. Brown. He's smaller, so he's going to have some success against St. Brown. DJ Reed's going to go crazy in training camp. That's my guess. He's going to go crazy. I think Rakestraw's going to be a dog too, but he can go crazy. And I'll give it in a sleeper. Last year it was Strickland, I feel like. Last year was Strickland. Let me go Nowaski as a sleeper. Nowaski improved so much last year. He played in the line a little bit for us. He got after the quarterback a little bit. Trevor Nowaski as a sleeper. You know, he kind of just flies around, does some different things, gets some sacks, maybe picks off a pass because he moves pretty well in space. Trevor Nowaski plays faster. Maybe that's the guy that pops a little bit. It's kind of the sleeper. Here's see a Meek. It's crazy how people were complaining about the Tesla pick after the Rams offer was going to be a second-round pick, and the Bills were looking to draft him. See, there you go. That's the inside stuff that we don't know. Makes sense, though. I mean, you had to jump 32 spots, bro. Like, that's a long way, dude. They were definitely not confident in where they were that was going to get there. If Terry locks down J-Mo all camp, the Brad Holmes build the Brad Holmes statue. Hey, he might. That's a good choice, bro. It's a good choice. I'm confident that Reed's gonna cook. But man, I like our corners. Our backups will look incredible in the preseason. That happened last year. Y'all remember when our backups played Kansas City, and it was like they played really well against Kansas City. We already knew what time it was, man. I guess unfortunately it was like a preview of like, hey, you're gonna lose everybody during the season. This is gonna be your roster. Unfortunately, yeah, people were coming for Tesla. Ahmed learns fast. Learns fast, man. He probably reads well. That helps. That helps. Just side note, you know what I mean? Like dudes that read well, they learn fast. Like, oh, I got that. Let me store that in a memory bank. Just saying. Just saying. I don't know. He was fired up though. Like, man was. He said he was like starstruck when he met Dan Campbell. He's like, I'm here, coach. Hey, good for you, Ahmed. I'm fired up for him, dude. Happy for that guy, bro. A lot of buzz come from this draft class. I love it. All right, we're gonna end it here, man. TK. Well, TK is a given, bro. TK is of course gonna cook. Vaki's fighting for his start. Vaki's a problem. Vaki's a problem. He just needs the opportunity. He English as well. Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. Yeah, got to English well, man. And that's a credit to him from Egypt. Bro reads well. Like, come on, man. Smart player, dude. I'm surprised Ashton Gelati got drafted so high. I think 6. He did go. Let me look at that real quick. He did go in the draft, though. What team was that? Was that Kansas City? I feel like that was Kansas City that took him. Yeah, it was Kansas City. Top of the 3rd round. That is an interesting one. Feels like a little bit of a build thing. Like he's so thick. I mean, he was productive, but he's such like a thick edge rusher. I'm trying to think of like who they actually have. Like with Karlaftis, like body type kind of makes sense, I guess. And like Omenahue, Karlaftis. Like it kind of fits Mike Dana. I feel like that kind of fits what they have. He's different than Uzoma, but like he's one of those more like thick edge rushers, like Omenahue, who's coming back this year. Wait, he must have just got signed then back, and then Karlaftis. I think that's just a build kind of deal. He can go though. He can get after it. I didn't love him, but he was productive. A lot of people liked him. A lot of people like Gelati. He also has a fantastic name, so that alone could have gotten him drafted high. It's like, all right, we just want to say that name a lot more. That's going to sell some jerseys. I really like Karlaftis too. If they want to trade him over here, let's do it. Over under game start for Davenport. Over. Never betting the under. You're never gonna get me to bet the under on that. I already got the shirt, bro. Over, dog. I watched Ahmed to watch film on Brandon Graham. They're the same height, weight, and arm length. What? I messed that up. Okay, that's why I didn't make any sense. Well, I'm going to watch film of Brandon Graham. Got you. He was also on NFL Network today, and he's a free agent, by the way. He is a free agent. He's available. Watch him on Brandon Graham. There you go. That's a good comp for him. Send over the highlight tapes. Let him know what he's probably already watching. To be honest, that dude's he probably looked up his RAS score already. It's like, let me see what they're saying. let me see who I'm about, because I'm about to be that dude at the next level. This dude's got that energy. He's got the Levi kind of energy when he was drafted. Like he's got that. Dude. He's just pumped to be there. That's what the draft's all about too, which is amazing. That's what it's about, bro. And then it's just like, all right, let's not like have unrealistic expectations. Let's let these dudes grow, man. Let them be young. Let them figure it out. And I think Lions position himself to do that. But it's like, that's what it's supposed to be, man. The energy is great. It's gonna make it work. That's the kind of guy that's gonna fight back from an injury. If he gets hurt, he's gonna come back. He's gonna fight his way to get back on the field, man. All right, we're gonna leave it there though. I appreciate y'all joining, man. Probably will see you this weekend with some sort of tryout video. But until then, have a great Friday night. I would aim for Saturday for something like that. If you haven't seen it, Tate Ratledge video's out. My man Charles was giving me some love, saying that, hey, I might have been right. You might be going to center. Well, if you want to see that video, man, the video's out, and you might be going to center. Not this year, but eventually. Anyway, we're out though. Have a great night.